Hi, everybody. It's Les Sulgrove with Iowa Realtors, and this is the August 2025 Statewide Market Report. Let's jump right into what's been going on in the state for the month of August, and then also look back this month, year to date, to see how business is comparing to the same time last year. So we're going to focus predominantly on single-family homes this month, and I've got some additional new graphics to go over to kind of explain a little bit better what the market is doing and where we compare along the timeline that we're going to look at here. So let's start off and look first of all at the number of new listings that were added to the market across the state. And one thing you're going to notice is that as we go through some of these stats, you'll see that some of the numbers, for example, new listings will show 4,032 on this graphic and maybe a different number on the next one. That's basically because the timing we've screen captured at the end of the month, or basically on the 6th of every month, that's the date that we update the graphics for August, are probably a little bit different than when I actually did screen captures again for some of the other graphics. So if you see a number that's off by 4 or 5 counts, or a dollar amount that's off by a little bit, that's why. It's just that different time points that we've taken the information by a day or two. So let's focus first of all on new listings here. You can see 4,032. We're up. We're actually down almost 10% from last year at this same time. And what I want to take a look at here is what this looks like on a monthly basis. Now, the black line, as you'll see moving forward, the black line references 2024 in most of my graphics. And what you'll see is that from about April on, we were bringing on more listings this year than we did last year. Now, the month of August felt a little bit slower as we were moving into the state fair time, and vacation times were ending and happening. And essentially what we saw was a little bit of a dip in the market as far as the number of new homes coming on. So we only brought on 4,000, a little over 4,000 homes this August, compared to outpacing 2025 the previous 4 months. This does not necessarily mean that the market is really bad or anything. It's just saying that the market has slowed, and we've probably all felt that a little bit. Looking across the state, the leaders of the new listings coming into the marketplace, we have basically 10 different communities or 10 different markets that have brought on over 100 listings into the MLS system. And the leaders are down here on this column. You can see that Polk County brought in 694, all the way down to Dubuque, which brought in about 108, and everything in between. And these areas all coincide with either metro areas or suburban markets. So it's no surprise that these areas are where the largest number of listings came in. But 4,032 is a decent number. That's a good number compared to where we would probably have been a couple of years ago when the market was much, much slower. So another number we're going to look at is the total number of homes. Now, the last one was the number of homes that came on during the month. This one now is looking at the total active inventory, and this is the number of homes that are for sale all across the state. And this is the one that we've probably felt the most increase in. And this is the total number of homes we've seen on the market. We're currently just over 9,000 listings. And, we never hit 9,000 listings at one point in time last year. The highest we got was about 8,800. And at 9,191, we continue to build inventory. Now, how this one differs from the previous graphic where we saw a little bit of a dip, this one will continue to rise regardless of whether or not we're adding new listings or not. It's basically based on the pace of sales. So if we have a slowdown in sale pendings, for example, we'll see this number continue to increase over time. And honestly, this is a pretty good number to see us going into, especially with the fall coming up and a lot of talk about mortgage rates coming down and how it's indirectly affected by the Federal Reserve rate. So we could be setting ourselves up for a pretty good fall and have a nice amount of inventory for the home buyers that are out there looking. As far as months of supply, now this number here basically talks a little bit more about the pace of sales, and at overall in the state, we have 2.8 months of inventory, which basically means that if no new homes were to come on the market at this point, it would take us just under 3 months to sell all 9,100 of those homes that are currently for sale. And to look at what this looks like month over month, again, this is a little bit different graphic. The blue column is the monthly 2025 monthly months of inventory number at 2.8 months. And the gray column next to that is last year's months of inventory. So what you see here in the month of August is at 2.8 months, it's taking a little bit longer to sell that inventory than it was a year ago when it was 2.5 months. And we traditionally see this number go up as we get toward the last 4 months of the year. And you can see that in September of last year, we were at 3 months. In fact, we were very, very close to 3 months of inventory on all three of those categories. And really, anything under 4 months of inventory is essentially considered a seller's market in our industry. 4 to 6 months is considered the balanced market, and anything above 6 months is considered a buyer's market. So we're really continue to be fairly well into a seller's market as we move through 2025, and don't anticipate us coming up into a full-blown buyer's market. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't markets out there around the state that are in a buyer's market, but overall, generally, we're staying in a seller's market. The next number we're going to look at now is looking at closed sales. We closed approximately 3,300 homes during the month of August, and that's down a little bit from last year. Again, just almost 1.5%. And where we see that happening is on this graphic, you can see that from May and June, we had outpaced last year's closed sales, which is no surprise because that's the spring market speaking. Home sales from March and April are traditionally what feeds the May and June closings because they take 30 to 60 days to close. And when we started to see this slowdown, it started to feel like home sales kind of slowed down just a little bit as we moved into May and June. And then that was confirmed as we see that we basically slowed down and reduced the number of closed sales for July and August. However, we were just slightly above the pace of last year, but still somewhat on pace. Now, if we continue to look at this black line and look at the direction it's heading, it should be no surprise that we may see this number go down as we get toward the end of the year just because of seasonality. The next number we're going to look at is what is the list price received off of the final sale. And at 97.7%, that means it's about 2.3% off of list price. So sellers were negotiating and buyers were negotiating downward by about 2.3 to 2.5% so far during the month of August. And that's not a terrible number. That's actually a pretty normal number. We typically say we sell right around that. Within 3% of list price is a pretty typical list price received. It's down just a little bit from last year, but looking at the numbers from the previous year, you can see that 2024 home sellers were able to maintain a little bit higher margin on their list price to sell price percentage than we have this year, although the month of August is pretty much right on track with where we were last year. And we like to see, we'd like to not see a lot of fluctuation in this. During the COVID period, for example, we were traditionally selling at close to list price or in many cases above list price. So we're pretty well back into a normal market on the list price to sell price ratios. The median sale price here is at $254 for the month of August, and that is just basically pretty even. It was slightly up 0.2%, but at $254,000, that one looks pretty good this year. It means that home sellers, while we're selling maybe a few less homes or they're taking a little bit longer to sell, they are selling for slightly more this year. So we're seeing a little of appreciation of value, and that's good. We always want to try to see home sellers see a little bit of appreciation of the values of their homes. And so far, other than the month of January, when we were right out of the gate, we've seen appreciation of values and closed sale prices above last year moving forward. Now, we did see the peak in June. Again, that's predominantly from the spring market. It'll be interesting to look at this in September and October to see if our median sale prices come down or if they pretty much maintain this number here. I know in a lot of the markets we're seeing pricing maintaining itself as we move deeper into the year as opposed to coming down. So statewide, we're seeing it drop a couple of months, pretty marginal drop at 254. So it's pretty close to where we were last year. As far as looking around the state, again, this graphic will kind of show you where the counties are that are leading this higher pricing. And Dallas County right now leads the way at the median sale price of $429. So just because you see $254 for a statewide average, that's taking into account all of the 99 counties. And we have several counties that are outpacing that median number. So Dallas at $429. Dickinson County up here at $415 comes in second. That's the Iowa Great Lakes region. Resort areas, Johnson County over at Iowa City at $367, and the rest of these counties kind of round out the Des Moines metro area with Warren, Polk, and Madison. So this little section of the area here is running a little bit higher as opposed to the rest of the state. So to end the show, just wanted to remind everybody where you can go to find our local housing stats. Go to iowarealtors.com and just move across over here to news and market stats, or if you want to just enter housing-stats at the end of your URL, it will bring you right to this page. And you can see three different types of graphics. You'll see the graphic that comes up here at the top. This is our graphic that we produce for our press releases. And then you can also go forward and see the graphic we were looking at before, where you can look at numbers year over year or month over month. And there's also a market review graphic as well. So with that is the end of the report for the Iowa Realtors for the month of August. And we will be back again next month to see how the September market has fared. Talk to you soon.